It's okay to sue Jim Sterling, just don't go after actual gamers.
And Sony's pulling a page out of Nintendo's playbook.
One review platform to rule them all.
And how Sony's breaking ground on Sean Murray's Hype Rave.
I'm Sam Chen.
And I'm Paul Mooney.
All these stories and more Magikarp candy than Pokemon Go's buddy system. Stick around, you're watching the Nerdy News Roundup.
We begin the show with Steam, the PC gaming platform that Microsoft can't seem to dethrone no matter how many times they turn up the heat. When you're the Amazon of PC gaming, you know that he who controls the reviews controls everything. The developers are more aware of that than anyone else. In a recent change to prevent inflation, Steam has set up a new default filter in which reviews only show reviews from users who have bought the games on Steam, hiding reviews from those who have used the Steam key to review games behind a filter. Sam, is making humble bundlers live up to their name a good thing?
Well, let's be honest. No one who plays PC games is humble, all right? They all think that they're the best and that their opinion actually matters. 90% of the time, does not matter. So when I look at this for Steam, right? So Steam's coming out and saying, hey, the reviews that we get for people who purchase the game versus the reviews that we get for people who turn in keys for the game seem to be statistically deviant from each other. So we think that maybe there's some padding going on because you're either giving out free keys or something else. So I get where they're being sensitive to that. To me, the answer to that is actually one step further. It's looking at it and saying, okay, here's how you can generate developer keys for reviews or for free giveaways. Here's how you do your Kickstarter batch. Here's how you do one for a Humble Bundle. And you set it up so Steam's internal system can track where the review is coming from and get more information about how the filter should be applied in the future. I think that's the way they should go.
So you're saying just add a few more layers of development to what the plan they have going on should be. So you can filter out, like, you know, this person had a reviewer key, this person was someone who's given this for free by someone else, stuff like that. So in those regards, like having someone who may not be as kind of impartial to what the game was as a in concern to someone who purchased it, as opposed to someone who may have gotten it for other reasons, should be an option.
I mean, like, think about it. Like, Metacritic does that now, right? They have your critic review score, and then they have your user score. So they are polling actual people who are good at it. Now, let's say you built that system into Steam. Maybe what you end up showing is you say, like, you know, certified purchased buyer or reviews, and then that score is 4.5. And then right next to that, it's total reviews, or all reviews, right? And then that number is 3.8 or whatever, right? So now you as an individual have the information to see the difference.
I actually think that's a really good idea because as a consumer, you'd want to know who was kind of paid. I wouldn't say like paid off because that's not really the truth of the situation, but maybe given more incentive towards playing this game as to someone who just purchased it on their own volition. That's a legitimate concern where it's like, oh, well, a full pay version of this game review score versus maybe something a little bit more abstract where it was more, I kind of got this game, but I'm also a reviewer, and that's something that should be taken into consideration.
Yeah, and then finally, like I as a Steam purchaser, I'd want to know if like 90% of them are review keys. If 90% of the reviews are review keys, and I get like 50 reviews that are legit purchasers, like I know something's up there. Like now I have the information, and then Steam's also not making a judgment. They're being impartial about it, so it's not really their fault. It's up to the developer. Battlefield 1's open beta broke records as it had 13.2 million players playing an FPS version of World of Tanks. This weekend, the closed alpha for Ubisoft's For Honor also launched to pretty good reviews, albeit a cry for dedicated servers. These games have both been received well in comparison to issues we've seen in early access games we've discussed on the show in the past. Paul, are AAA developers trying to show you why they're better than the average bear?
Well, there's no such thing as better than the average bear, my friend.
Hey, boo-boo.
No, it's more the fact that people who have experience in making a good beta, who are trying to make it to this point where they have extended sales, versus those who are trying to make sales off of the beta, are two different factions entirely. I think that some of the betas we've seen recently with bad reviews have been more about the fact that I'm trying to have a beta because I'm trying to suck people into a place where I can sell them things, as opposed to I'm trying to have a beta where in the future I can sell to a large market in the future. And I think that Battlefield, especially Battlefield 1, has done a really good job about accentuating those different segments.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when I look at a game like even like For Honor, right, which is a closed alpha.
Yeah.
So not even beta, alpha. That performed so much better than I ever expected from an alpha. Yeah, I'm limited to 2 characters per faction. I'm limited to 3 maps. I'm sure there's no story mode. There's all this, right? But it's enough for me to understand the game mechanics. I could probably give some feedback on balancing in the game. Those all will probably feed into a better experience for the gamer at the end of the day. We're not talking about things like, a closed beta where you're giving pros a chance to test out the game ahead of time and figure out their strategies.
Right.
Like that's kind of bullshit. And it's also not early access to the point where you really have no idea what the end game is going to be, right? Like solidifying and then balancing like they might have done in Paragon, like they were doing in these games, that's good.
You're absolutely right about that. And I'm glad you brought up Paragon, because I think the Paragon beta is getting to the point where it needs to be cut off. Like,
wait, isn't Paragon released now?
It's still open beta. Like,
oh my god!
It was an open beta on Friday, and
my god!
I know this not because it was an announcement from Paragon. It was an announcement from people who've been playing it. And it's still kind of an open beta.
Hashtag epic fail.
Look, Epic.
In more ways than one.
I have been on your side for this for the longest time ever, and I love what you've done with this game. But this is the other end of that spectrum. You need to at some point say we've got this game to the point where the refinement is good enough and close it off. You have done a good enough job, and Battlefield and For Honor, especially in the alpha stage, has done a really, really good job with it. But you need to understand where the point of this is no longer an alpha or a beta, and we need to say we're going to close this off and take these responses from people who've been playing it, try to implement them the best way we can, and release a game. It seems like that little kid who's like jumping off of a high board and is just kind of, at the edge, and I don't really want to commit to this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like the 5-foot high board, right? And he jumped off the 2-foot, he was fine. 4-foot, he was fine.
Yeah.
4 foot 11 inches, he's fine. He still just won't go off the 5
Yeah,
foot.
you won't go off the really big one at this point because you're just scared, even though you've already had those successful launches previously. Like, you need to make that commitment. It's been 5 weeks since No Man's Sky was released, and their PR machine is still running on all gears, the reverse gears, that is. In an interview with Eurogamer, Sony Worldwide President Shuhei Yoshida piled on to the reverse hype train when he praised the game for what it was and even sympathized with the need for a day one patch. He made it clear that while the indie developer was an indie game, it was still just that, an indie game. Quote, it wasn't a great PR strategy because he didn't have a PR person helping him. And in the end, it was just an indie developer. Sam, Sony obviously played the indie developer hype train as much as they could, but did they overplay their hand here?
Yeah, so I think if I'm Shuhei Yoshida and I see the tragedy that is No Man's Sky and what it has meant for essentially defining indie developing for my company, like I would try to cover my ass, and I think that's part of what he's doing here. He's like, you know what? Hey, we've got our PR engine, so we got him access to whatever he wanted. He was the one who put his foot in his mouth repeatedly, partially because he's a developer and he's not a PR guy. So look to that guy. It's his fault. And yeah, so is Sony not at fault? No, I think Sony does take some of the blame here. But this is just another nail in the coffin of this, like, look, if you're an indie developer and you want to come out with a big game, don't be Sean Murray.
Okay, I will agree with you in the fact that Sean Murray should not have bought into as much of Sony's hype as he did. But at the same time, like they told him that they were to, we're going to make this game that you have coming out with your 15 people in your lab for this indie game a significant success. Like, I mean, this was years ago, probably.
Sure.
I wasn't actually in the boardroom with them during this time. Because if I was, I'd probably be
on the beanbag,
right? Yeah,
at the circle table or whatever,
drinking a smoothie, stuff like that. Yeah, probably
things indie developers do.
Yeah, most of the stuff that would have happened during those times, if I'd been either Sony executive or an indie developer, probably are not realistic to my current standings currently. But still, like at no point did Sony say like, look, you guys need to stay a little bit grounded about what you need to do, because it's not like Sony doesn't have PR people on hand.
And I think you bring up a good point, right? So one point I was thinking about is people like an underdog. So it's nice to like be able to cheer for Hello Games, right? It's to cheer for Sean Murray, to have an indie developer with 15 people make what's close to a AAA title. That's a great story to tell. And if I'm Sony, the next time I even imagine that this is going to happen, that's exactly what I do. You're under contract with us. You hire a PR guy. Period. Well, that PR guy can go shell for you. That's it.
How are you not Sony and you say, here, this is your PR guy that will kind of guide you through this process?
Well, no, because you got to think, when it is just him, it's more impressive. Right? When you go on to Fallon and
well, the person doesn't be there on the stage with them. They could be in the back and say, look, you need to stay away from the areas where people are saying things. I mean, again, we talked about how the No Man's Sky hype train kind of got out of control, which is understandable because, again, indie game. But there were certain points where he may have said yes to things where he probably should have said not so much. Not even no. Just maybe not as affirmative as
he should have stopped doing this.
Look.
Did a little bit more.
All I know is if I go onto YouTube right now and I like Google Sean Murray lying, there's like 6,000 or something responses that I will get off of that. And you don't want to be in that situation. Sony was very happy to collect the money from the pre-order sales while all that stuff was going on, but did nothing to do any prep work beforehand.
Sony, we can prep the next Sean Murray.
Sony, we will prep the next Sean Murray.
Done. Heck, I'll even volunteer to be the next Sean Murray if you really need that. All right, I'll take a bullet. Just put an extra 2 zeros on that check.
Nerdy_Knights. We will make sure that something like this kind of Hyperloop train, doesn't happen again. Just saying.
Hitman may keep failing at being a success on the silver screen, but Agent 47 seems to be a success on the 4K screen, or more realistically, the 1440 screen. The episodic game turned many heads when fans realized they weren't getting all of the missions at once. But 6 months or half a season in, fans are extremely thrilled with the way the designers have engaged the gamer in individual levels, giving structure to a traditionally open-world franchise. Paul, is Hitman just a serendipitous success in episodic gaming? Or should we get on board the Final Fantasy VII Remake episodic hype train now?
Nah, you know how I feel about hype trains, Sam. But I do feel about hype trains with guns on them.
Oh.
I actually like what I've seen from Hitman. Full disclosure, don't really play that much Hitman. For all you Hitman fans out there, I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking it. But I do like the concept behind what they're actually offering. Like, what they're giving you in these episodes is a sandbox in which you can do an array of different things in order to achieve a singular goal. Which means that you can do whatever actions are necessary to achieve that goal in a better way with replayability. So, for that respect, I think what they've done and what they've actually achieved from what I've seen from people playing this game or anything like that are really, really, really gamer-centric. It doesn't seem like they're nickel and diming people. They're trying to make you as many options as you possibly can to actually go through and play this game as much as, or give you this game per episode the much replay value.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I'm like a big Hitman fan. Maybe the more recent PC release I haven't played, but like the original stuff when it was on, when I was PC gaming, it was great. But the thing was that there was this struggle with the fact that once you got Silent Assassin on a mission, like that rating, there wasn't another thing to achieve, right? There wasn't another thing to hit. And now you're looking at games where it's like, all right, well, kill this guy but make it look like an accident. All right, kill this guy, make it look like an accident, but you can't take out his girlfriend. You know, like so there's all these different components now which challenge the player in a sandbox and add replayability to it.
Right.
So I agree. Like I think this game itself is set aside. how episodic gaming plans out in the future, I don't think this has shown.
Yeah.
This isn't a silver bullet for Square, but it shows people that you can do it well.
Right. Yeah. I definitely want to agree with you on that fact. It's time for a break where we see if our Steam score has gone up or down.
When we come back, Shuhei Yoshida isn't the only Sony executive making news. See why CEO Kaz Hirai wants Sony to be aggressive in the mobile gaming market. Stay tuned. You're watching the Nerdy News Roundup. This week's sponsor we wish we had is Behringer. Are you curious why Paul and I sound so good every week? It's not our naturally soothing voice or our ability to add the Barry White auto-tune filter to our voices. It's the great equipment we have from Behringer. Our favorite product right now is the Behringer Euphoria UMC 404 HD. This 4-channel 24-bit 192 kHz mixer with incredible Midas preamps, we can now get 4-channel recording and push our dynamic cardioids to their full potential. So if you know anyone at Behringer, tell them we sent you and beg them to give us some money. Or maybe some free products. And for our main story tonight, Sony may have left Nintendo in the dust on big boy consoles, but it's still a baby when it comes to mobile gaming. After watching Nintendo print some money with Pokemon Go, Sony CEO Kaz Hirai is no longer satisfied with their position in the market. In an interview with the Financial Times, Hirai stated that Sony is aggressively getting into the mobile gaming market, recognizing that it's quite a shift from being just a console-based business to being on mobile phones as well. PlayStation has an interesting past on mobile platforms, usually focusing on selling hardware and not on developing games and apps. Paul, the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. What's the second step for Sony?
It's not even that they have a problem. Sony just needs more money. Like, that's kind of where I see it from the standpoint. I've seen Sony do this sort of thing before, where they've seen people venture into a market, and whether or not they've had success is the indicator of which they're going to then venture forth into said market. Take, for instance, I wrote an article where they were talking about how the Wii U was coming out, and PlayStation had the Vita and the PS3, and they said, why can't you do the same thing they're doing there? Sony said, there's no actual evidence that this market is actually something that people want to do. So when actually Nintendo went into that market and didn't actually come up with any profits, Sony was just like, there's no point in going any further than this.
Yeah, but I think the mobile market's different, right? Like, we know that the mobile gaming market is big. It may even be more than 50% of the overall gaming market when you total up revenue,
right,
and total up players. So I think it's a little bit different to write off mobile as a fad. If anything, they got on the train pretty late.
But the whole thing is, now a console gaming company has actually got into the mobile market and had some marginal level of success. So now Sony is interested in getting into it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even then, you look back at what Sony did with the phones and the PSP and the mobile and the PS Vita, right? They keep trying to take a device or take a different platform and cram it into a device that's not suitable for it, right?
Right.
And that's where things like Super Mario Run are actually important, because what are they saying? Oh, well, we could have given you a Mario game where you flip the screen to the side and you use this as a joystick and you use this hand as a button.
Well,
but we want you to play one-handed, because that's what mobile gaming is.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. They tried doing things in the past, sort of, kind of half-heartedly.
Yeah.
Most of the mobile marketing that Sony has done in the past hasn't really been all that enthusiastic, and really hasn't resulted in that much result. Like, nothing they've done previously for mobile has really gotten the market all that enthused, especially the non-casual market, which is, or the casual market specifically, that would make things kind of be profitable for them in the long run. So now that Nintendo has done something that has been sort of good for casuals, now they're like, oh, let's start focusing attention on that sort of thing. So it's more like, again, Nintendo has done something that's been successful in the mobile market, and I can see Sony now saying, let's try to replicate that sort of success, because someone else has done the R&D for us.
Right, and well, they've established what the market is, right? I think that's where you're going, because they came out in March of this year and said, okay, hey, we're going to reorganize some stuff, and we're going to invest in the studio that's really built on taking some of our bigger name first-party IPs and making sort of something mobile out of them. So it's not completely breaking ground, but I think...
Well, it's just, again, following that same R&D design. Not so much that they're making something new, but just following the path in which someone else has already ventured forth and saying, okay, we already have a model for this that's been successful, done by someone else who spent money, which is kind of what I'm driving at. Like, they're not so much trying to make something that's innovative, they're just trying to replicate something that's been done before and possibly expand upon it.
So I guess at the end of the day then, looking at how this is set up, should we expect to see the Vita just completely go away?
Yes. I'm sorry. Like, I like the Vita. I think it's probably the best handheld that's ever been developed. Including the Nintendo Dual Screen, which is the best
selling
mobile platform.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, it's clearly the best one on the market, or at least, like you said, best selling and most popular. But the applications for the Vita just weren't really exposed to the point where it could reach people in either a price point or a functionality rate, possibly a combination of the two, that would actually be the level of exposure that's necessary to make it successful in the level of the DS is. So I think, and again, I'm not in the boardroom with Sony, so I don't really know this is how they're thinking, but their actions here kind of connotate towards the fact that they're going to try to replicate mobile in a way that's not been done by them previously.
So what you're saying is they're going to release the grip on the IP and try to find something to shoe it in.
Right.
But they're not necessarily going to just turn into a mobile app development.
Right. And I don't think it's going to be one-to-one where it's going to be Pokemon-esque, where it's like, oh, everyone knows what this is and people are going to go out and they're going to be playing on their phones all the time. But it's going to be something along those lines where it's going to be something on a mobile platform, maybe be something that's Sony specific, and then try to spin it off in a way that they can capitalize in that regard. How they're going to achieve that, I'm not in the boardroom. I don't know. But I think that's the direction that Sony's probably going to try to go in, because it's not so expensive as making a new console. It's not so expensive making a new portable console and trying to market it from that aspect. It seems more sensical if this is what they're trying to do, where they said they're trying to focus on mobile, to do something that's available in an app sense with the community, as opposed to making some kind of new hardware and then try to market it from that standpoint.
Do you think Sony is set up for mobile success? Or does another game executive need to take a nap? Let us know in the comments below. Comments. Can't get enough of nerd culture? Then check out all the great content we have on the Nerdy Nights YouTube channel. Join me and Eric on Couch Co-op Confidential as we stream couch co-op games. Currently, we're making our way through space on the back of a space ostrich in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. Mike and I have just picked up the Stick of Truth and are saving South Park from the Drow Elves. Check out Let's Play Podcast for a whole new way to Let's Play. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel, Nerdy_Nights, where the Space Cats are rocking out on Rock Band 4. The Yoko Vocal, the Bummer Drummer, and the Racist Bassist are saving the world from potholes while we amass screaming fans. We stream almost everything we play, so follow us to know when we're live. Click the links below for all this great content and more.
And now for everyone's favorite segment of the week, we turn to our lightning round where we answer the age-old question, does this matter? Armello is back this week, and the DRM-free version is in the spotlight. Following the announcement that the DRM-free version won't be on parity to Steam and won't be receiving DLC, GOG is offering refunds to players who are unhappy with the decision. Sam, the developer League of Geeks, says they've exhausted all possibilities. Were the nothing else to see here line work?
Move along. This topic is over. No. Okay, so I think this matters because this is a sign for developers in the future. You need to set yourselves up to be more efficient, right? The problem Armello's having with this DRM free version, right or wrong, truth or lie, is either you fucked up in the beginning or you fucked up in the end.
True story.
So either you set up the two versions so differently that you couldn't put the same product on both, that's your fault, or now you're really trying to wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're just going to give our DRM customers better support. and we're getting backlash and we're trying to blame it on something else we did. No. Stand by the fact that you made a fucking mistake.
True story. Yeah, no, they need to expose themselves from the get-go. And I know saying they need to expose themselves sounds like a horrible thing, but they knew they could do it one way or the other from the get-go. Once they realized they couldn't do both, they should have had some kind of press release. End of story.
Pokemon Go is back and better than ever. Unless you play the game on Android or iOS, which coincidentally is the only consoles you can play it on. The launch of the Buddy system initially left iOS users in the dust as the Wave-style rollout made it to the Apple products last. Conversely, Android users found their wrist Poke Finder beepers incapacitated as Bluetooth issues plagued the hardware launch of the device, the Pokemon Go Plus. Paul, renewed interest is good, but Niantic's like what, 0 for 10 unsuccessful launches at this point? Is there any hope left for this company?
I feel like the rate in which this specific franchise is going down is kind of making it look like the Titanic at this point. It doesn't matter what they bring out with. There's going to be a base level of players who are going to keep playing with it, which is good. I think they're still going to go with it, and they're still going to play Pokemon Go as much as they have been in the past. I don't think it's going to garner new players back anymore.
Yeah. Well, and even to that point, though, so I think this matters because it's just another, pin in or whatever in the nail in the coffin of what this game could have been, right? This game will never live up to the potential it could have been. Now you just have to salvage what you have, right? And so at this point, you look at it and you say, well, what do I have left? I've got some dedicated fans. They're going to buy my Pogo Plus. They're going to be happy with it. Treat those fans with respect, right? Don't worry about the 20 million people you lost. Worry about the 20 million people who have decided to stick around with you, right? And maybe you'll get some people back. But stop trying to swing for the fences and great product. All of a sudden, I get all my users back. No, that's not going to happen. Chillax. Chillax and just realize you fucked up. Make it good for the people who still love you.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it matters because it's that guy on the sidelines who's looking at the cheerleader and is hoping he's going to get laid at the game. It's done. This time is over.
Oh, God.
Call me racist or sexist, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's done. Niantic, you done fucked up, home. There's another crackdown in the world of digital gambling. But lucky for Valve, it has nothing to do with CSGO. The UK Gambling Commission has brought a case against Craig Douglas, Dylan Wrigley, and the now deactivated channel FUTgalaxy, specifically citing that the channel, which promoted gambling in FIFA Ultimate Team, was an illegal lottery, that they were advertising unlawful gambling, and they were inviting children to gamble. Sam, it might be a little ironic for two people living in Vegas to talk about illegal gambling for children, but what do you make of this?
So I think we've now seen week after week, and we've discussed it on this show, all the stuff that's happening about gambling and esports, gambling and games in general. I think at some point you have to sit down and say, this needs to start really mattering to everyone else, because gaming at the level that it is now, with the amount of video games that are out there, with every single thing that surrounds the ecosystem, gambling is going to be a thing. So why don't you create a platform for it and regulate the shit out of it and then get some tax revenue back, right? The point of the matter is, you're going to figure out a great system. Everyone's going to have access to it. You're not going to be able to restrict it. And the best you can hope for is putting all the safeguards in place so children don't get, used on it. So you don't have some sort of racketeering that happens. You don't have rigged matches and things like that. Those are the things you're going to have to end up worrying about. But the fact of trying to take money out of video games is like taking money out of the church.
Pretty much. Yeah,
It's
something that's never going to happen. You're absolutely right about that. I keep saying time and time again, you will never, especially with modern technology, somehow eliminate illegal gambling altogether. That's going to be kind of a given. But it will be much easier to regulate if you start making steps towards making it something that in your controlled environment. If you just kind of let it run free and then you try to crack down on it after the fact, you got to realize that it's probably been going on for quite some time. And it will continue to have that same respect where it will go on for some time illegally and you're going to have to do retroactive. So yeah, it 100% matters.
Destiny is back with more content than ever, including pay to win? Bungie is crossing a line it can't soon back off of, as you can now purchase reputation boosters for factions in the popular online game. Sure, you can save your money and spend your silver on those emotes, but why not boost the reputation gains of your entire fire team for 2 hours? Paul, just how much money should people be throwing at the screen for year 3 of Destiny?
Oh, God. The screen throwing of money will never end with Destiny at this point. And I like the game. This matters because this is what people who are on PC have been saying about this game for a very long time now. They always said it was going to devolve into something where people are just going to have some kind of pay-to-win aspect of it, and people are going to buy into it. Or not, but it's just the fact that that table's on the option, or that option is on the table. It's going to be a thing.
So I'm going to take a step back and say it doesn't matter. Now, it matters in the context of a slippery still, but it doesn't matter because faction reputation as players of Destiny, we know, isn't a huge deal. Maybe it speeds up how quickly you get to play the RNG slot machine, right? And so, in that context, I don't really care about it. I will say I don't want to see Destiny 2 I don't want Destiny 2 to become a free-to-play game with a bunch of add-ons, with a bunch of things you need to pay for. I don't want it to be like what a traditional mobile game is in terms of money. I want it to be I pay my whatever amount every however long you want and just get to enjoy the game.
Are you regretting your BattleTag name? I'm looking at you, Patriots fan 19 or no. But you're in luck, as Blizzard has opened the floodgates to unlimited BattleTag name changes. Well, for at least $10 a piece after the first one, that is. Sam, is Blizzard greedy, or are they helping out people who made bad BattleTag life choices?
I don't think this is greed. Other systems have it. I think this really does. It matters in the sense that Blizzard is a company that realizes that they need to catch up with the times. Xbox has been doing this for a while. I don't know why Sony doesn't do it. But yeah, you made a bad BattleTag choice 10 years ago. You should be able to pay $10 to fix it.
Yeah, to the first one, I can see it. But I think it's the problem children who make 15 or 20 choices to troll people specifically.
Sure.
Yeah. You need to pay for those sort of
decisions. Now you can cash in on it. It's great.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It matters in a small way because you should pay to be able to troll people for having your name changed be what it is.
I retract my statement. Reverse. Thank you. It might be cool to sue Jim Sterling, but it's definitely not cool to sue gamers. Digital Homicide found that out the hard way after going after Steam users with a lawsuit might not be the best idea to keep their company afloat, because Valve responded by taking down all of the developers' games off Steam, citing that they were harassing their players. Paul, I know we want to be PR pitchmen, but should we not be touching this one with a 60-foot pole?
Probably not. We don't want to be lawyers at any point, right?
Exactly.
So, it's hard to say that this one is too significant, but it definitely doesn't matter. Lawsuits, anytime that's in consideration, is something that's significant.
Yeah, so I think I agree that it doesn't matter, but I agree it doesn't matter because it's fucking Digital Homicide, right?
Yeah.
These people are trolls beyond trolls. Yeah. None of their you go to their website and it looks like GeoCities from 8 years ago.
Have you played some of their games?
I don't want to. No.
I mean, it matters because you don't want to deal with the harassment. Some of their games are just not so good.
I'm waiting for them to come after us. That's the only reason I put this in the show. Sue us. Bring it.
Digital Homicide. Please don't come after nerdy_nights. Just because we don't want to deal with putting you on the bus, dude. We're not interested in having that kind of situation on our hands. Their games are just broken. Have you seen why they're suing Jim Sterling?
I know.
Yeah. That's all I need to say.
Yeah.
It matters because it's the kind of a joke. No more. I'm done with this one. Done.
Next week, Sean Murray is now the head of Digital Hop. No, just kidding.
We're done. We're done. Sean Murray. He's got enough problems.
As the show comes to a close, it's time for Meme of the Week. This week's meme comes to us from freshly awoken developer Shigeru Miyamoto and his left hand. Miyamoto took to the internet to promote the newest game for our favorite plumber, demonstrating the power of multitasking as you can play this one-handed game, Super Mario Run. My favorite example includes this one of Miyamoto getting his workout on as he lifts weights while keeping the red plumber alive. Or this one, where he reluctantly attends to his business duties, glad-handing an employee as he continues to collect coins. And finally, my personal favorite, Miyamoto gets his lolcat on as he proves he can have cheeseburger and rescue a princess at the same time. If you have any ideas for next week's meme of the week, be sure to tweet us at nerdy_nights. And that's it for this week's Nerdy News Roundup. Don't let us go the way of Sean Murray's dignity. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm Paul Mooney.
And I'm Sam Chen.
Join us again next week, because the last thing the world needed was another new news show, but you still tuned in anyways.